Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of the Tapping into Life podcast. I am your spiritual life coach, Matthew B., back with another episode. And for the first time in season 3, I am coming to you solo. I'm coming to y'all solo, right? There's no guests for this episode. It's not because one backed out. It's not because I couldn't find any. It's because this particular episode, like many other episodes in the past season, I want to speak directly to you, right? This topic is directly about you as it pertains to you, the individual. So, this is why, for the first time on season 3, it's just me today. It's just me today. Okay. So, come on in, y'all. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. But as you're coming in, remember to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, text a friend, call a friend, and say, hey, you got to check this podcast out. This is some spiritual food for us. And we hungry. And we got to eat. And we got to drink. So come on in, come on in, come on in. For those who usually write down notes, write down your notes. For those who needs a snack for the episode, grab a snack. Come on in and get comfortable. And for those who have truly been around me, yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. I am wearing red. And so, but come on in, y'all. Come on in, come on in, come on in. That was an inside thing, because a lot of people I've told that you would never see me wear red. But here I am. I've kind of took a liking to the color, okay? So don't judge me. Come on in, y'all. Come on in. Get comfortable. We're going to dive right into it. Because on today, I'm going to tell y'all about a good friend of mine. I'm going to tell y'all about a good friend of mine. And this friend of mine, she is one of the most remarkable friends that anybody would ever want to have as a friend. She's a beautiful, beautiful existence, right? My friend, I'm telling y'all, my friend. And my friend has had, we ain't always been friends. But every day, every week, every month, every year, we are becoming stronger and stronger and stronger in our friendship. But that's my friend. And I'm going to tell you about my friend. I'm going to spill all the tea about my friend. I'm going to tell it all about my friend. I'm going to tell you what type of friend she is. I'm going to tell y'all how the friendship has benefited me. And matter of fact, my friend, under good authority, my friend has allowed me to share her with each and every one of y'all. Okay. Now, my friend, her name is Grace. Grace. Her name is Grace, commonly spelled. Her name is Grace. Some of y'all have heard about my friend Grace, right? Some of y'all, I have not fully indulged in other religious or spiritual practices. But I do know my friend Grace has. And my friend Grace has shown me a lot of things. How she, has indulged in all these other spiritual and religious practices. But I do know I do know that grace is present, right? Well, it should be present within the Christian community. And her and I was having a conversation one day, and I brought that to her attention, and Grace said, "Baby, sugar, yeah, no, I am the chief cornerstone that the building rejected. Okay, everybody don't don't like me. Everybody don't want to listen to me. Everybody don't want to understand what I'm about. And everybody don't want me in their business. But I am created to be an existence that is more powerful than the perception that mankind gives me. So, sugar, me and you friends now. We good, we cool. We got that bond. But I want you to tell the people all about me. So I'm going to tell y'all about my friend Grace. I'm going to tell you who my friend is, okay? My friend Grace is a combination of positive internal or spiritual characteristics that governs how one, his or her humanist nature as it pertains to responding to a negative or uncomfortable experience, and also responding to negative people that make you feel uncomfortable. Okay? That's who my friend Grace is. So if you ask me, who is Grace? Who is this friend Grace you talking about? My friend Grace is a combination of positive internal or spiritual characteristics that govern how one navigates his or her humanist nature as it pertains to responding to or dealing with uncomfortable moments and or negative people that make you feel uncomfortable. And I'm going to tell you, I may not listen to Grace all the time, right? I'm a work in progress, but I'm getting there. And every day I listen to my friend Grace more and more and more. All right. And for those who know who Grace is, for those who have that relationship with Grace, that friendship with Grace, that sit with Grace, that hold Grace's hand as y'all navigate through the storms and the rains, the heartaches and pains, y'all know that sometimes we don't listen to Grace. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in our emotions, and Grace start talking, we be like, "Girl, you better shut up." But she consists of, my friend Grace. Grace consists of some spiritual characteristics, and they some beneficial characteristics, right? Some people call these characteristics spiritual principles. Some people call them characteristics. And some people call them spiritual fruit. And some people call them fruits of the Spirit. Right? So, my friend Grace likes to operate in love. She's a loving friend. She's a patient friend. She has the ability to help you learn some self-control, right? She's a humble friend. She's an understanding friend. She's a knowledgeable friend. She's a wise friend. She's a forgiving friend. She's a respectful friend. She's a compassionate friend. But my girl Grace, if anything, she helps you acknowledge your boundaries as it pertains to experiencing uncomfortable situations and dealing with people who make you feel uncomfortable. That's who my friend Gracie is. I want y'all to take that in for a minute. Because not only is my friend Grace all of these things, my friend Grace is authorized by the higher powers that may be. Some people call it God, some people call it the universe, some people call it however they pronounce God in their native tongue. But we're going to put that all together and we're going to say the great I am. The omnipotent one. Grace, as she's walking with you and holding your hand through, Grace corrects you. She corrects you, right? Now, to some Christians, that may be like, okay, but you talking about God. So why are you using she? Listen, now, we're not about to do all of that. All right. For those who think, they say, okay, well, Grace sounds a little bit like God. Okay, well, God is grace. And God is good. And let us thank you for the spiritual food he about to bless us with tonight. So, to have grace, when you stare at that uncomfortable moment or experience dealing with people who make you feel uncomfortable, grace helps you discipline how you respond according to the situation. Helps you discipline your emotions. Helps you assess what is going on with you internally, spiritually, mentally, physically, while you're dealing with that uncomfortable moment or dealing with those uncomfortable people, right? Because we all, every single day, every last one of us, we have moments where we find ourselves in uncomfortable situations and dealing with people who make us feel uncomfortable. She helps navigate the connection that our four spiritual elements have with each other, right? She helps filter out what is detrimental and help bring in what is beneficial. That's my friend Grace. She sounds like a good friend so far, don't she? But one thing I like about Grace is the type of friend who will lead you and guide you to understand what really is. And we all know what really is when I say what really is, it is things that we have acknowledged that we can control or we may not be able to control. Right? And one thing about grace, if we walk with grace and allow grace to be our friend, we understand that grace is going to show us some things about certain situations and about certain people. But we have to let grace in. Grace ain't trying to be our boss. Grace ain't trying to tell us what to do. Grace ain't trying to condemn us if we don't follow every single time with her. She ain't like that. She's not a dictator. She's not a dictator, okay? It's not an off with your head kind of thing, right? She ain't gonna throw you in prison for 20 million years because if you didn't follow her. You know, she's not gonna end the friendship because you didn't listen to her. Even when we decide not to follow grace or listen to what grace has to say. And we make mistakes in life and we dig ourselves into some ditches, grace will extend her hand out and be like, you know what, baby? You finished? You done? Here's my hand. Grace will meet you where you are. That's what I like about my friend. She will meet you where you are. She will meet you where you are, and she will show you where people are. And where people are, that's their humanness. HUMMANNESS. Humanness. Now, we're not going to dive into humanness. That's a whole other episode, okay? But she will help us understand one's humanness or another's humanness, our humanness, and other people's humanness. And what she helps you understand one's humanness, she also helps you understand one's human nature. And we're going to get into that as well on another episode. But I'm going to talk to you about my friend. Somewhere down the line, right? Somewhere down the line, we have come to this conclusion that we know grace. We come to this conclusion that we know grace. We know how grace rolls. We know how she operates. We think grace has an expectation. We think grace forces us to suppress our emotions and our feelings. That's what we think grace is. That's what we think it is. That's the perception we have on my friend. And my friend, she ain't that type of she ain't the type of spiritual existence. My friend, Grace. Now let me tell you something. Grace is the type of spiritual existence. She wants you to be your authentic self. She wants you to be who you truly are. She wants you to tap in. But she gives us so many things that help us out. She highlights what is detrimental and highlights what is beneficial. She helps us maintain what is good and what is beneficial, and she helps us eliminate what is detrimental. Now, grace does hold you accountable. And that's one thing that a lot of us don't like doing. We don't like putting in the work. Grace, oh Lord, got me doing this. Grace got me doing that. Grace is a free will type of spiritual existence, okay? Grace ain't gonna force you to do anything that you don't want to do. But grace is gonna constantly remind you why you are where you are. Now, see, I'm telling y'all this because once upon a time, me and Grace ain't see eye to eye, baby. Like, me and Grace did not see eye to eye. Me and Grace, look, homie, what? You all up in my ear and you talking out the side of your neck. I want to do this way. I want to act out this way. I want to express myself this way. And you coming up in here all up in my ear talking about two wrongs don't make a right. You all up in my ear talking about don't sweat it. You all up in my ear talking about just be calm. You all up in my ear talking about hold my mute. You all up in my ear talking about give it to God. Once upon a time I was that dude. Like, sit down, shut up, and let me do me. But once I started getting into more trouble and experiencing more detriment than I wanted to, Grace was like, you finished? Are you done? You done yet? Okay. Let me enlighten you on a couple of things that you may need to properly maneuver through these situations and how to properly deal with these people who are making you feel uncomfortable. Because we all experience situations and people. And we all, as it pertains to people, we all have those people that if it weren't for grace, we would have popped them right in their mouth. We would have cussed them out. We would have talked about their mamas. We would have said some stuff that was a low blow. We would have hit below the belt more than we hit in the face. If it was. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But grace helps us, it will prevent us from getting into more trouble. If any trouble at all. But grace wants you to understand, wants you to assess why, in these uncomfortable moments and dealing with these uncomfortable people, why you feel the way you feel. Grace is not just for us to give to other people. Grace is for us to assess why we feel the way we feel. Why, when somebody says or do something, or if a situation happens that's uncomfortable, why does it strike a nerve? Why does it get you angry? Why does it get you sad? Why does it get you depressed? Why does your anxiety go from 0 to 5,000 in 0.3 seconds? That's what grace wants us to do. She guides us to assessing ourselves when dealing with uncomfortable moments and people who make us feel uncomfortable. So grace does not expect us to be happy as we sharing her with other people, as we giving her to other people. Grace don't want us she doesn't expect us to always be happy. But with grace, in order to exemplify who our friend Grace is, one must be loving. Even in the moments like, look, I ain't feeling it. We have to be patient. Even in the moments like, look, I've been dealing with this situation or dealing with this person way too long. I'm ready to act a fool. But that's That's what grace does. Grace wants us to control ourselves from catching a case, from losing our minds. Because grace understands that sometimes, with a lot of us, our human nature ain't in our best interest. Our human nature ain't gonna work out in our favor. Our humanness needs some maintenance and some upkeep. I can't wait to get into humanist nature, the combination of how humanness and human nature works. Oh my goodness, that probably might be the next episode. But this is what grace does. Grace wants us to understand, right? And understanding, when it comes to grace, understanding and patience go hand in hand. Here's why. Because if we're patient and begin to see with our spiritual eyes and allow grace to show us some things, we'll understand why people act the way they act, why the human nature is the way it is, and why we get upset or however our feelings are, why those feelings are coming into play when we're dealing with uncomfortable moments. I have one coworker, love him to death, love him to death. I have one coworker where, some days he's bouncing off walls, smiling, me and him joking, carrying on back and forth. And some days he come in, he be like, "Morning, I don't want to talk. I'm not up to it today." And the way he carries himself sometimes, and I'll be like, "Well, damn, what's going on?" And you talk to him, "Hey, what's going on?" And he's some days he's like, all right, going back up to the desk. Okay. But grace has shown me why his humanness is the way it is and how his humanness affects his human nature. Now, that's not for judgment and condemning and whatnot, but it just shows you where that person is at that particular time in that particular part of that particular person's life. So in my situation, I had been shown why he was, why he is the way he is. Not judging him, not condoning him, not condemning him, not saying he's a bad person and he's gonna go to hell. And I'm not saying that, but it helps me understand this is who he is, and this is why he is, why it is what it is as it pertains to him. So I'm like, okay. And I had to thank my friend Grace, because had I not would have listened to Grace and allowed Grace to walk or to show me about my coworker, I don't even know some of the nasty, ugly things I probably would have said to him. But Grace helped me understand him. It was recently him and I, for some reason, God stuck his hand in the universe and froze time, it just seemed like. And him and I had a conversation at work, and he was telling me, a little bit about his childhood and whatnot, and growing up, and I'm like, now this makes a lot of sense. Grace showed me something. Now this makes a lot of sense. Now I understand, part of the reason, part of his humanness and his human nature. He need to write a book, but that's up to him. That's his business. I think it would be a beautiful story to tell, and maybe bestseller, and because of the details in the story that he told me, that part of his life, that inspire a lot of people who are going through some of the same things or have gone through some of the same things he has gone through. But anyway, so one doesn't always have to be happy. One can be angry, Certain stuff that make us uncomfortable and certain people that make us uncomfortable may cause us to be angry. But grace helps us discipline our anger and maneuver through that moment to where that emotion of anger is dominant. Grace helps us maneuver through that. Look at that, y'all. Look at the fact that I can be angry and not punch somebody in the face and not turn tables over and not act a fool. And my human nature would cause me to do that. But grace is giving me options to find an alternative way in handling my anger. And with these alternative options of handling my anger, I don't have a court case coming up. I'm not charged for violence. I'm not charged for disturbing the peace or disorderly conduct. We are, for some reason, and I had to ask my friend, I said, Grace said, I said, now, when I was growing up, I had my parents, I had my grandparents, I had my aunts and my uncles, well, great aunts and great uncles during that time. Those big cousins, when we were kids, they were adults, those cousins. Some family friends, some church members, and these people always had a friendship with you, Grace. They always exemplified what you had shown them, and they exemplified that they listened to you, and they exemplified, carrying out the way that you would carry out. Right? And I'm like, but Grace, it ain't like that now. A lot of us, we don't have no grace. We don't have no friendship with grace. Somebody, some spiritual existence who have, in my opinion, helped a lot of us through some stuff and deal with things and deal with people who make us feel uncomfortable. A lot of us don't have grace. A lot of us don't show grace. A lot of us don't exemplify grace. And a lot of us don't put in the effort to one day have that relationship with grace. I had to ask Grace. I said, Grace, why is this? Why is this? And she said, society, the rules of society weren't as strong as they are now. Society did not, the rules that were written on how to define certain things and certain people in certain situations, it's not big and broad. It wasn't big and broad as it is now, right? You didn't have a lot of this thing called narratives and false narratives, and you didn't have categorizations, and you didn't have a lot of that. And if you did, it wasn't that strong. It wasn't that big. It didn't hold that much weight. But now in today's society, one human got to be categorized from the next person, depending on the gender identity of that person. You got to walk like this, talk like that. They have to, society is slowly deceiving humankind by conditioning them to accept the category and the labels that mankind has been placed in. I said, wow. Wow. One thing that I see, and this is going to go into like what I really, this is going to go to where I want to go. And may grace be with me as I maneuver through the second half of the episode. How can we say that we have grace and we can show grace by definition when we have this thing called cancel culture? Grace, that don't register with grace. If anything, that's a mortal enemy of grace. That's grace's enemy right there. Well, one of them. We got this thing called cancel culture. As soon as somebody is detected of being, I'm gonna give you the spiritual definition of cancel culture. Right? So y'all get y'all ink pens, y'all pencils, and y'all highlighters, because I'm about to get into it. The spiritual definition of cancel culture is when a human is detected of being a human, and the human nature does not sit right with another human or a collective of humans, and the collective in return throws that one human away. They try to silence them. That's what they say. We're gonna silence you by canceling you. So we're gonna blast what you said or what you did all over the interline. We're gonna blast it all over social media. But the way we gonna blast it is we gonna take snippets of what you said and what you did and create a false narrative. Say that it's the truth, but in return, the narrative is a lie. Oops. How many times have we gotten on social media, right? How many times have we gotten on social media? And really pay attention to this. We saw snippets of what somebody did or what somebody said. Because I'm really about to get into one. I'm really about to get into one. But I'm going to ease my way into it. I'm going to show grace before the claws come out. But we put snippets of stuff on social media and we create a narrative to paint a picture of a particular person based on what we're putting out there. Take it in. Or like I said, if somebody makes a mistake, if they're detected of being human, like humans make mistakes, every human on the face of this planet has made a mistake, excluding Jesus. But every human has made a mistake. But when they're detected of being human, like I said, making mistakes, oh, we don't agree with what you said or what you did, so we're going to throw you away. But then again, by society's definition, Jesus also made a mistake by speaking, about his father, and it didn't sit right, so they canceled Jesus. So they think. But that's a whole that's a situation. It's a whole other situation. So my thing is, once it's put out there, we get people that start spinning narratives, right? Start spinning narratives, start, having all of these opinions about stuff that really doesn't have anything to do with them. And they say they feel some type of way, but they really don't feel some type of way, but they're going to portray that they feel some type of way, all to get clicks and views. Probably get a little check from YouTube that they probably don't file in their W-2s. And if the IRS get a hold of it, then they're doing audit. So they're probably going to get penalized, get in trouble. But that's none of my business. I'm just saying. Right? But then on the flip side, with the same lips and the same mouth, say, hey, we all got to stick together as a community. We all got to stick together as men. We all got to stick together as women. We all got to stick together, as every community, that you reside in. We all got to stick together. On Monday, but on Tuesday, you're doing the total opposite. You done cancel somebody and threw them out. I just don't understand why we decide that we wanted to welcome in this virus called cancel culture and dismiss our good friend Grace. Are we as a society that sensitive? Because if we were friends with Grace, Grace would have shown us how to properly deal with that sensitivity, that high sensitivity. Grace would have showed us. Grace would have showed us how to have a conversation with the person who offended us by saying or doing whatever he or she did or said. Now, Grace is telling me to put my claws back, put my claws away. I'm going to put my claws away. We about to get into it. Now, y'all know, for those who really know me, for those who know me and they know, y'all know my favorite music artist is none other than Miss Jill Scott. Y'all know that's my girl. And y'all know that I love me some Jill Scott. That is my favorite music artist. And for those who know me personally, know that that's my best friend in my head. But apparently, once again, somebody has gotten in their feelings about something that she said and now want to spin a narrative. Now, I'm a fair person. Now, Grace is telling me, Matthew, you got to do it right. Now, Jill commented or complimented Chris Brown about his vocals and his singing and his dancing and his performing and all of that, right? So she said this and she put it on social media. Some little girl decided that she wanted to respond. Now, let me tell y'all something about these people who were raised in the DMV and North, right? I'm gonna tell you something about the northern half of the East Coast. These people mean what they say and they say what they mean, number one. Number two, they ain't backing down from what they said. Number three, oftentimes, everybody else from around other regions of the country, they take what they said the wrong way. Now, everybody who knows, who know how Jill Scott flow, how she rock, and for those who have, who are fans of Jill Scott like me, y'all already know that she did not mean what people with the false narrative saying that she meant, right? Y'all know she ain't mean that. What happened was she kindly gave the flowers to Chris Brown about his talents in the music industry. Now, if it was me and I had to call my girl up, Jill, Sugar, now, I'm pretty sure Mama Scott and Grandmama Scott told you to pick your battles and pick them wisely. Not because you can't win them, because you Jill Scott, you can win them. Not because you can't win them, but because some stuff ain't worth entertaining. Some stuff just ain't worth dignifying. And what you did, Jill, Bestie, you dignified a comment from a person in their feelings trying to start some mess behind a keyboard. That's what you did. Now, Jill, you better than that, Sugar. You better than that. I don't know why we sit here having this conversation. You better than that. You are a Grammy Award winning artist who can shut any house down, who is a remarkable performer, a phenomenal actress. Like, come on. I wouldn't have not gotten given this girl the time of day. But nonetheless, it happened. So what happened was, so the girl commented, basically saying, okay, well, the women that he was once in relationships with, the ones that he allegedly abused, they would disagree with what Jill Scott was saying. First of all, if I was Miss Scott, I would I said what I said. I'm standing 10 toes down. He's a good singer. He's a phenomenal singer, has great vocals, can dance his butt off. He's a remarkable performer. And I'm standing 10 toes down. And I'm what T.I. son said, I'm standing on business. This ain't up for debate. That's how I would respond to her. But Jill and Jill, my friend is grown, so it is what it is. So, apparently Grace was with Jill because everybody know Jill Scott would have ate her up. But anyway, so she said what she said. And Jill Scott said, I disagree. And the status was basically saying how her mother was in an abusive relationship with her stepfather, who, everybody know what goes on in a physical abusive relationship. But at the same time, she literally went straight to the humanness of her stepfather. He's an abuser towards women. At the same time, this is his accolades. So she highlighted the accolades, but also basically what she did was, but he's still a human. So he's going to do effed up things because humans sometimes do effed up things. That doesn't negate that, their accomplishments and their accolades that are positive, but they're humans. And from there, it just went bonkers, right? But my thing is, and when people were sharing her posts on their social media stuff, and then so now they bringing up all this stuff that went on with Chris Brown, and it's like, at what point are you gonna let that go? At what point are y'all going to let it go? I'm not saying forget the fact that he did wrong. I'm not saying that, just sweep it under the rug and bury it. What I'm saying is give that man some grace. And people are attacking people like Jill Scott, Taraji P. Henson, Kelly Rowland. There's a couple of other women who basically said, give that man some grace. Damn, we all know he did what he did. He admitted to doing what he did. He went on this apology tour and apologized 50 million times for doing what he did. He admitted to doing it. He has shown remorse. This man sat on somebody's couch, in his words, sat on somebody's couch about this topic at hand. What more do you people want? Like, golly. I'm glad y'all not God. I'm glad y'all don't determine if I get a blessing or if I'm condemned to always a fiery lake. Because how are we not giving somebody grace when they admitted to having a moment that they decided to make a bad move and effed up? It's like you want them to hold themselves accountable, but when they hold themselves accountable, you still beat them up. Like, I do wrong. I admit to y'all I do wrong. I show with my actions and from the depths of my soul a sense of remorse, and y'all still beat this, y'all still beat me up. Like, and that's what's going on. It's like every time his name is mentioned, abuser, abuser, abuser. And it's like, okay, we all know. You don't have to remind everybody else. You ain't even got to remind him. Y'all seen you trying to remind this man of what he did. He knew what he did. He wrote the damn chapter in the book in that season. Like, I'm like, Grace, girl, where you at? Grace, where you at? You know, Grace, where are you? Hello? Where you at, Grace? Grace, like, look, if their hearts are not letting me in, I'm not gonna be there. but this is what's going on in society to where we're not giving people grace. I mean, I'm talking about people who really, truly, and sincerely are apologetic for doing the wrong that they did or saying the wrong stuff that they said. And we still like nailing them to the cross 50 million times. Like, I don't understand. Yes, I do. I understand it. I understand it. And this is where I make people mad, but I can care less. I understand it. There are just some people who just like finding joy in being upset at somebody to the point that they continue to bring them down and continue to feed into their downfall. There are some people who find joy in getting up and being upset about somebody that apologized and show that they're truly sorry. It has taken time to step aside, sat himself down on somebody's couch, got all the spiritual knowledge that he can have to fix his life, heal himself. But there are some people who still find joy in being upset with him. Let me tell you something. See, this is where your spiritual life coach come in. So bring it on in. Bring it on in. Now I'm calling people out. All right. All right. Now, I'm a halfway listen to Grace, but this is where I call people out. I'm joking. Listen. If somebody is truly sorry and have shown remorse for what he or she did or said, and if every time they try to grow and get back on their feet, you knock them down about stuff that they said or did X amount of years ago. If you are that type of person who get on these social media, you get on your little YouTube channels and your little platforms, and you want to bash this person and like reminding them for what he or she did X amount of years ago. And like I said, if that person is truly sorry and show remorse, if you are that type of person, something is spiritually wrong with you. Something is emotionally wrong with you. You are staring in a mirror and seeing an individual that you don't like. So because you don't like it, you in your feelings. But you also understand that you lack the capacity in putting in the work to correct the person that is looking back at you in the mirror. So instead of fixing you, you want to bash somebody down that's back on their feet. Why? Because you feel some type of way, you in your feelings, and it's a sense of jealousy because their resilient game is strong and yours is not. Oops. Let's have this conversation. Because that could honestly be the only reason. Like, I have ran across people who have done some things that wasn't pleasant to whomever. They have shown remorse. They are truly sorry. They beat themselves up. Some of these people, I had to stop them and say, "Look, you can't keep beating yourself up. You did what you did. You asked for forgiveness. You're sorry. You done broke down and cried. You done had a mental breakdown. Like, it's okay. Like, the world knows that you're truly sorry." Like, come on. Now I'm about to help you back up off this ground. We gonna brush this dirt off. You gonna run, jump in the lake, bathe real good spiritually, wash all that guilt and clean those wounds. You gonna put your clothes back on. We gonna walk down this road and we gonna heal. And we gonna grow. And we gonna enjoy the ride, healing and growing. And if anybody run up on you trying to take you back down, now we got a problem. Because me as your brother, that's where I step in like, no, this is what we're not going to do. This is what we're not going to do. But this is what people do. Like, you can't say, okay. You can't say Black Lives Matter. You can't say Black Lives Matter and truly mean that. When you constantly trying to tear this brother down for some shit that he did years ago, you can't say that Black Lives Matter when this man has gone through therapy to help him deal with whatever issues he had, have damn near begged for forgiveness, apologized 50 billion times, showed every bit of remorse that somebody could show, and you still bash him and bring him down? And the last time I checked, that brother is black. So how can all Black Lives Matter? Oh, maybe it's Black Lives Matter within certain conditions as it pertains to how certain individuals perceive it. Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing? I'm trying to understand how all lives matter. When we constantly beating each other up and tearing each other down for some stuff that happened way back when. But in the same breath, if it's somebody we know or somebody we close to, we get mad at everybody else who tearing our loved ones down. You can't be friends with grace and cancel culture together, right? You can't do that. Where is the grace? Because you want somebody to have grace when it's your loved one going through whatever, did whatever wrong or said whatever wrong, and it's trying to bounce back. And other people are tearing that person down, then you get your feelings and you get mad. But when it's somebody that's not your loved one, you said, oh, to hell with him, throw him in the trash and take him to the dump. That don't make no sense at all, whatsoever. Nada, zip, zilch. I'm trying to understand, where's the grace? How we expect people to show us grace, but we don't show a grain of sand of grace to somebody else. You want somebody to be patient with you while you get your shit together. But you ain't patient with the next brother or sister while they get their shit together. Help me understand that. You want somebody to forgive you for saying or doing something wrong, but you don't want to give that next brother or sister. the same grace that you expect people to give you. Because as quiet as it's kept, one who does not act within grace, they ain't no love. I don't care if you say you're a loving person. If you are not acting in grace, ain't no love. Sorry. Oops. Ain't no patience. I'm a patient person. Not without grace, you ain't. Oops. I'm respectful. You ain't got no grace. Oops. You ain't respectful. Oh, I'm humble. No, you're not. There ain't no grace. Oh, I can control myself. You a damn lie. You ain't no grace. Grace will show you, not just you, but grace will show you who you truly are and show the world who you truly are. Grace will show the human nature within you to not just you, but to everybody else. Now check that. Oops. Let's talk about it. You not showing grace to someone shows what kind of person you are, what you got going on in your soul. It really, literally, spiritually highlights what in your soul is being nurtured. What kind of seeds in your soul is being nurtured? What kind of soil in your soul is nurturing and tainting these seeds? What fruit your soul is bearing? Will manifest in a form called human nature that is oftentimes highlighted when someone has grace or doesn't have grace. So if you don't have grace, by definition of what grace is, that shows a lot about you. I'm trying to figure out who so and so is. All you gotta do is watch their grace. Watch their level of grace. Watch and see how much grace they allow to spew out when it's coming down to dealing with certain situations. You learn a lot about a person by how much grace they exemplify. Damn. Mm. Mm. Let these people get themselves together. Give them time to get themselves together. You want people to give you time, you got to give other people time. You want people to bear with you, you got to bear with them. You want people to understand you through your BS, you got to do the same thing with other people. You want people to sit with you and have conversations with you, you got to do the same thing to other people. You want people to be compassionate towards you and respect you. You ain't doing it to nobody else. To everybody else. So you want people to respect your boundaries, but you ain't respecting nobody else's boundaries. You want somebody who is a spiritual elder to have a conversation and correct you on some things when you in the same mindset bashing somebody else instead of having a conversation with them and correcting them. But you want people to have grace with you, but you don't have grace with nobody else. It don't work like that, sugars. It don't work like that. I'm sorry. I don't know who lied, who died and lied and told you, but sorry, it don't work like that. Mm. But I will have grace as you tap into grace. I will have grace when you begin to have that friendship with grace. Because the very same people you trying to cancel and throw away, some of these people are the people that God really placed in your life for a good reason, to show you some things about you, and you learn some things about you as well as you learn things about them. So how can these lives matter? These black lives, these all lives, these whatever lives. How can all these lives matter when we constantly bashing people and we are showing no grace? Because grace does not only benefit them, grace benefits you. And the longer you go without showing grace, it begins to take an effect on you. Because what you should be fixing is now becoming stronger. Mm. I think I done said enough in this hour and 12 minutes. I probably done stepped on some toes, but that's what grace does. It helps you out. It gives you some knowledge so you can have some wisdom, and show you exactly what you got going on within you. And that's the problem, y'all. We got to start showing grace. Grace is just not for other people. Grace is for ourselves as well. And that's somewhere down the line, that key part about grace being, being for us as well, that went away somewhere down the line. Somebody took that out and threw that out somewhere. We got to start showing grace. And listen, by any means, I am a human as well, and sometimes my human nature fly past grace so fast. But on a scale of 1 to 10, me and Grace about a 7.5, 8. So we getting to 10, but we got a little bit longer to go. And now y'all know about my friend Grace. Now y'all know. And if you heard, and I'm pretty sure y'all did, heard humanness and human nature, that's going to be on next week's episode. Humanness and human nature and the combination. That's really going to explain why people do what they do. Mm. Just take a minute to receive it. We about to end it. We about to end the episode. I'm giving y'all grace. Thank you, each and every one of you, for tuning into another episode of the Tapping Into Life podcast. Remember to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell five more friends, tell them five friends to tell five more friends. All right. It has been an amazing hour and 16 minutes telling y'all about grace. All right. Now all you gotta do is welcome grace in and have a relationship with grace. So then y'all can tell everybody about grace. Until next time, I am your spiritual life coach, Matthew B. Always continue to tap in. I will see y'all next week.